tax season right around the corner. Yes, it's that time of year, and there's some important changes to be mindful of. As we told you earlier this week, delays at the IRS could make filing even more tedious. Among the challenges, a backlog from last year, staffing shortages, and of course, this pandemic we're in. And joining us now is financial professional Brian Levy from BML Wealth Management with what you need to know before filing. Brian, good morning. Great to see you and Happy New Year.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
All right, so let's talk about why do we need to be thinking about tax planning year-round now?
Well, it's such a great question, Adrian. I mean, there's a difference between tax planning and tax preparation.
Okay.
So those are two separate things. And ultimately, there's things earlier in the year that happen that impact the decisions you make at the end of the year, whether that's 401k contributions or should I sell a stock this year? So April 15th is a deadline, not when you should start.
Exactly. And so what are the major changes that we should be looking for this year when filing our taxes, getting them ready?
Yeah, there's a lot of changes this year, and the IRS posts what those are. But, you know, one of the big ones is the child tax credit. If you remember last year, a lot of people got a tax credit between $3,000 to $3,600 a child. But they sent out a letter in late December, early and January as well, that tells you, hey, here's what you received in payments. Make sure you report this on your tax return. It essentially allows you to reconcile. But you got to be careful, because some people receive the payments, but they made too much money. So you'll end up having to pay it back. And you can't double dip. So a lot of people think they get to get the money and claim it at the same time. So tax credits, you got to be careful with the child tax credit, but I got the same letter and I got to deal with that myself. Couple other areas, they increased the standard deduction. So everybody has the ability to deduct or reduce their taxes by the standard deduction. And they increase those numbers pretty nominal, about 1.2%, kind of a small inflation bump for the year. And so you just got to decide, does it make sense to file a standard deduction, or should I itemize my taxes? Do I have a lot of expenses this year? Does it make more financial sense? Am I going to reduce my taxes by writing it all out, or just taking the normal standard deduction? And then the other big one that we got to keep an eye out for, Adrian, is tax brackets. So we all know our big fear is, what is it? Taxes are going to go up. And so taxes went up, but we do have still 7 tax brackets, anywhere from 10% to 37%. And remember, that's federal tax brackets. And so you just want to be careful. We had a lot of clients this past year sell their homes. You know what's going on in the real estate market here in California. And so you don't forget about state taxes. You got to add 10% to that, and then you might be at the right number that you owe at the end of the year.
So much to take in, Brian, and then we know that so many people have been working from home over the last year or so. Are employees able to write off any at-home expenses like utilities or office supplies when they're filing this year?
Yeah, you know, a lot of people, the whole work from home thing, I know even at our company, we're doing a hybrid work environment. So some days are at home, some days are in the office. It's a great question. I think the biggest thing is the answer is really no, if you're not, unless you're self-employed. If you're self-employed, then you could look at writing off potentially the office space or a percentage of square foot of your home that you do have allocated for work duties. But unless you're self-employed, you're not able to write that off. Really, it just comes down to, if you have any expenses, you can get reimbursed from your employer. But regardless of all of it, Adrian, tax planning is so important, and you want to make sure to speak to your CPA. Do it early this year. With so many changes, it's really important to get ahead of the game.
And Brian, I know we want to put it off, but the sooner we get to work, the sooner we get the refund, right? So it's best not to procrastinate. Brian Levy from BML Wealth Management. Great to see you, Brian. Thank you for the insight. Thank you for the knowledge, and best of luck to you and your family in 2022.
Thank you. You too.
All right. You can get more information by going to bmlwealth.net.